my friends, it's Ben from Vein-Tap.com again, and today I'd like to introduce you to the new addition to the Vein-Tap range, which is the Dark Times delay. It's a lovely little delay pedal. It's got some pretty interesting features packed through there, and I'd just like to spend a couple of minutes taking you through them. Before I get started on the actual delay itself, there's just a few things that I should point out about the pedal. The first is the foot switch. Now, we're not doing hard click foot switches because the soft touch circuitry is on the circuit board for the delay as well. So they're only being issued with soft touch foot switches, which is quite nice. Unlike some other delays, this has the trails enabled. We've got buffered bypass on there, meaning that when you turn the effect off with the foot switch, you'll hear a little bit of the delay lasting over. It just sounds a little more professional, a little less stark, and it sounds like this. So, onto the delay itself. It's a great little machine. It goes from 35 to 950 milliseconds of delay. We've got something a little bit special, which we'll get to later there on the top left. But for now, we'll just go through the standard delay controls. Down here on the bottom left, we've got the mix volume. So that's how loud the repeats are. It goes from nothing at all to just a little bit louder than Unity. And that goes from this to this. On the bottom right, we've got the feedback control, which will go from one single repeat to crazy self-oscillation, where the repeats then repeat on themselves and everything goes crazy. That's all kinds of fun to play with. That goes from this to this. All kinds of chaos available there. You do want to be careful, unless of course you don't want to be careful and have lots of fun with it. And then on the top right, we've got the delay time control, which goes from 35 milliseconds all the way to 950. So you can dial in really short slapbacks, or you can get really spacey with quite a lot of time available. That goes from this to this. And you can play around with the three controls in tandem to make really weird and wonderful self-oscillation noises, which may make you forget to play your guitar for minutes at a time. That sounds like this. Something that makes Dark Times a little different to other delay pedals out there is that it's got an effects loop, which means that you can put other effects units into the loop, which then only affect the repeats, which is cool. A couple of other delay pedals do that. But what's unique about Dark Times is that we've got an active blend control up there on the top left, which means that you can have those repeats fully affected by anything in the effects loop, fully dry, or any mix of in between. You can have 50-50, you can have just a little bit of affected signal there. It sounds fantastic. You can dial in all kinds of crazy unique tones. My favorite so far is putting a pitch shifter, which only affects the repeats. I've got a Digitech whammy in the effects loop right now. Let's see how that sounds first fully wet, and then with the blend control, changing things up. So we've had that fully affected by the effects loop. Now we're going to have that completely dry, so the effects loop's occluded. And now we'll have it about half and half, so you can hear the original unaffected repeats mixed in with the repeats affected by the whammy. It's awesome. I'm just going to crank the volume just a little bit so you can hear it better. I'm going to bring the volume, the feedback and the delay time up a little bit so you can really hear that, and just dial in a little more of the affected repeats than the unaffected. And there's literally no limit to what you can put in the effects loop. It sounds fantastic with all kinds. Modulation's another great one. I'm just going to put a little bit of chorus in the loop now, just to show you how that sounds. It's also a lot of fun putting some dirt pedals in the effects loop. I've got a dark triad overdrive in the effects loop right now. It's a really good way to still have a clean tone, but kind of introduce that element of threat, especially if you're playing something dark. It's really good fun. It sounds like this. The tonal possibilities with that effects loop are literally limitless. You can do whatever you want with that. You can create tones that no one's ever heard before. But you don't have to use the effects loop if you don't want to. The Dark Times is a great standalone delay pedal. I'm going to play a U2 riff just to prove it. I've used a clean tone so far in this video, but the Dark Times has been delayed to pair equally well with a distortion tone. I'm going to play a crunchy riff now just to show you that you can use it with a distorted tone and it doesn't muddy up or make the sound undistinguished. And that goes all the way up to full metal distortion. You can pair the Dark Times in either the effects loop or before the preamp, whichever sounds great, so that you can create like a really expansive, spacey but filthy post-rock tone. That sounds like this. Of course, you can always rein that back so that it's not so in your face and it's just a kind of subtle thickening. it will help make a good rock tone sound even better. And that sounds like this. And that is the Dark Times delay pedal. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. They're available at Vein-Tap.com. Please do head on over to the website. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.